Konflik antara Rusia dan Ukraina terus berlangsung hingga saat ini. Negosiasi damai antara Rusia dan Ukraina terus bergulir di Istanbul, Turki. Akankah negosiasi ini membawa angin segar bagi kedua negara dan juga dunia? Kita akan membahasnya bersama dengan Duta Besar Ukraina untuk Indonesia dalam Prime Word CNBC Indonesia. Ambassador, Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi.
Selamat datang.
Thank you for your time for CNBC.
It's my pleasure and my honor.
Yeah, thank you.
Please.
Ya, saat ini saya sudah bersama dengan Duta Besar Ukraina untuk Indonesia, Dr. Vasyl Hamianin. Thank you for your time, Mr. Ambassador.
Thank you.
Yeah, talking about the war between Ukraine and Russia has been going on since February 24. Is there any sign that this will end in the near future, or what do your opinion?
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi.
Ramadan Mubarak. I wish the good and happy and calm and loving Ramadan to every Muslim brother and sister in Indonesia and worldwide. I think I will start with this because now while we have Ramadan, it should be most peaceful period of life for every Muslim in the world. But unfortunately in Ukraine we have the war, and every single man and woman and child are under threat of being killed or injured. So my friends and brothers, Muslims, Mufti and Mufti of Crimea, Mufti of Ukraine are now fighting, resisting and praying. So they have the prayers every day, and they tell me that unfortunately they have to deal with this every day, and it's a tragedy for the Muslim world, I would say. And for me personally too, because it's our people, it's our nation. Mm-hmm. I don't, answering your question directly, nobody knows when the war might end, but this definitely, the question should be addressed to the President of Russia. This question is to be addressed to Putin, because we didn't start this war. We didn't even provoke this war to start. We were just living our happy lives in our country, not threatening anyone and not being a threat to any country or any nation. So Putin started this war with bombardments of our cities, with killing of our civilians, and the scale of the war crimes Russian soldiers committed in Ukraine now is overwhelming, and it definitely even beat the scales of Nazi crimes during the Second World War already, during the month. So massive massacre of Ukrainian civilians, robbery, raping women, killed children, shot dead from the back of their heads. It's unbelievable. And having this situation now, having the situation when the many civilians in Ukraine still facing humanitarian catastrophe in the cities of Mariupol, Izium and others, I don't see any sign of the goodwill from Russians. Obviously the purpose is not to defeat Ukrainian army, but to destroy Ukraine as a state, as an independent state. So when this war will come to an end will depend on Russia, but more it will depend on the world community and of course of Ukrainian defenders. Because I think the war, is my personal point of view, the end of this war will be put by Ukrainian army when they defeat the Russian army, and of course with the support of world community, of the humankind. I mean the sanctions, which will make it effectively not possible for Russia to produce more weapons, more missiles, more ammunition used in this war. So it's hard to predict.
Mm-hmm. It's hard to predict, but What do you see the background of Russia to attack the Ukraine?
Yeah, it's very important to understand that we shouldn't be hooked by Russian propaganda, which is so massive worldwide. And this propaganda has been developing for 100 years. And it had been financed very well from Russian budget for last 30 years at least. And certainly, if you spend so much money, millions and hundreds of millions of dollars worldwide, the idea that Russia is under threat, that NATO is a danger to Russia, blah blah blah, this idea will find the place in the minds of the people, some people in the world. But if you look at this seriously, there is only one idea or dream of Russian President Putin, to eliminate, to erase Ukraine from the world map as an independent state. This is the one and only purpose of Putin. And he stated it many times, calling Ukraine anti-Russia, that should be defeated and destroyed to the ground. They're calling Ukraine non-existing state and just not giving Ukraine even the chance to exist as free and independent country. So it's, for us, it has been obvious since I was a child that the greatest enemy of Ukrainian is Russia and has always been Russia. For 350 years, roughly, we have been fighting for our independence from Russia. So this is it's not just a recent event. We have been fighting against the Russian colonial rule, and now we are fighting against Russian neocolonialism, which they effectively try to involve us into. And certainly the purpose of Putin is no Ukraine will ever exist in the world. This is his dream, this is his purpose, this is his idea it's his vision of the so-called Greater Russia.
Putin's dreams, you think, no Ukraine as an independent country, and then Ukraine become a part of Russia. And then the reason Putin attacked to Ukraine, because Ukraine has become a part of NATO. Is this just a lie?
It's a very direct lies, because if you look at the documents, you will see that Ukraine is not NATO member. Ukraine applied, like state of all permanently discussing with NATO about future membership, but we didn't receive even promise not to talk about the plan or action plan or something for NATO membership. We didn't receive even a promise that we will be accepted by NATO in whatever distant future. So we don't have even this. But I repeat, there are two important things to mention. First, before the attack on Ukraine in 2014, the scale of cooperation between Russia and NATO was times and times and times bigger than NATO and Ukraine. They had everything, like cooperation, weapons exchange and sales, massive sales of weapons to Russia. Then they have the military exercise, all the training, everything. I mean, they have a huge scale of cooperation. And Ukraine is just a little bit small. So second very important question to mention is Putin was never afraid of NATO. NATO was created as a defensive organization. And it's mainly to defend the countries like Lithuania, like Estonia, like Austria, like Slovakia, from the big and aggressive neighbor like Russia. So that was the purpose and main idea of NATO. It's not attacking, it's defending. This is the main thing. So it's nothing. I mean, NATO is the fairy tale created by myth, created by Putin's propaganda, to justify the war. But nothing can justify the attack on the sovereign state. And even more, nothing can justify the massive murders of civilians. The war crimes they commit are outrageous. They are unbelievable. And can you justify like crimes against humanity, massive crimes against humanity, by my concern about future NATO expanding? This is ridiculous, I would say.
Mr. Ambassador, talking about NATO, How to assess NATO's stance and support in this Ukraine-Russia war?
This is again another proof that the so-called concerns of Putin towards NATO are groundless. NATO is not helping us at all. I mean, it's just like talking, just like saying that, oh, we are concerned and Russia should stop the aggression, all that. But the NATO, well, it just doesn't help Ukraine in any way. NATO member states are helping, but it's like bilateral level. It's nothing to do with NATO as alliance, as organization. So, yeah, I'm disappointed about NATO's reaction that if they decided to close the sky over Ukraine, to establish the no-fly zone, I mean, thousands and thousands of Ukrainian civilians would be saved. Thousands and hundreds and thousands of buildings would be saved from the missiles, from the bombings, from the shelling by tanks and all that. So I don't understand the position of NATO, to be honest, because it's like a what? What are they afraid of, or what are the concerns?
Interest with the dialogue today, but we must take a break now. Jangan kemana-mana, usai jeda kami masih akan kembali tentunya. Tetaplah di Prime Words.
I would not see any chance for the negotiations to be successful, because while negotiating, Russia is keeping on killing civilians, shelling the cities, blocking Mariupol without water, without food, without any aid or any humanitarian assistance. So they're committing crimes against humanity the very moment the negotiations are underway. How can the murderer, like killing people, at the same time talking about peace?